Starting with the great name of Almighty Allah, the most beneficent and merciful. In the previous lecture, we explained that the components of grammar. Before the components of grammar, we explained that what's language and grammar. But today we will explain morpheme, that what's morpheme. Definition. The minimal unit meaning or grammatical function. Or grammatical function is called morpheme. The minimal unit of meaning or grammatical function is called morpheme. This is a definition of morpheme. But in this definition, we are studying the two aspects. One is called the minimal unit of meaning, and the second one is called the grammatical function. These are the two main features of the morpheme, but it's also the feature of morpheme that it can be divided further. It can't be divided further. It can't be divided further. It means that it's the smallest unit of meaning or grammatical function, but the morpheme will be not divided further. Okay, according to the graph of morpheme, further we divided the morpheme in two major categories. One is called free morpheme, the second one is called bound morpheme. One is called free morpheme and the second one is called bound morpheme. Bound morpheme. And the first one is called free morpheme. Further, we divided these two kinds into major categories. One is called lexical morpheme, one is called functional morpheme. This one is called lexical morpheme. Lexical morpheme. But the second one is called functional morpheme. Functional morpheme. And we divided this category two to the main categories. One is called derivational morpheme, one is called inflectional morpheme. The first one is called derivational morpheme. Derivational morpheme. The second one is called inflectional morpheme. Inflectional morpheme. If I'll give to you the example of morpheme, read. I have given the example of morpheme read. So it's free morpheme and it's giving to us meaning, but this one word is not divided further. If I'll give to you another one example of the bound morpheme, ness. This is the example of the bound morpheme. It's also not giving to it's also not dividing further. Morpheme. The minimal unit of meaning or grammatical function is called morpheme. Further, we divided the morpheme in two major categories. One is called free morpheme and the second one is called bound morpheme, free morpheme. We divided further the free morpheme in two categories. One is called lexical morpheme and the second one is called functional morpheme. And bound too. The bound morpheme we divided in two categories. One is called derivational morpheme, but the second one is called inflectional morpheme. Free morpheme. First, we will explain that free morpheme. What's free morpheme? Free morpheme. What's the definition of free morpheme? It gives to us full meaning. What's the definition of free morpheme? The definition of the free morpheme that it can isolation. The definition of the free morpheme is that it can stand in isolation. It can stand in isolation. It can stand in isolation. Free morpheme, it can stand in isolation. It means that whenever we are studying or writing the free morpheme sound, it will be giving to us the meaning alone too. Further, we divided the free morpheme in two categories. One is called lexical morpheme, one is called functional morpheme. Lexical morpheme. Lexical morpheme. The first one is called lexical morpheme. I am about to explain the lexical morpheme first. Lexical morpheme, what's the definition of the lexical morpheme? It's giving to us full meaning. Lexical morpheme is giving to us full meaning. It is giving to us full meaning. It's giving to us full meaning. For example, it's giving to us full meaning. For example, if I'll give you the example of read, it's also giving to us the example of it is the example of the lexical morpheme, and it's also give to us the full meaning. Read. If I'll give to you another one example, go. This one word is also giving to us full meaning. If I'll give to you the example of write, etc. This one word is also giving to us full meaning. But read, what's the first form of read? Its first form is also called base form, present form, or infinitive form. So the infinitive form of read is read, but the past form is read, and the past participle is read, but the present participle is reading. The spell is same. The spells are same in the past and the past participle too. But the past participle we will pronounce read, and the past form too. One is called go. So what's the past form of go? Went. And the past participle gone. And the present participle going. Right. Wrote, written. The past form is wrote, but the past participle is written. But the present participle is writing. The second one is called functional morpheme. Functional morpheme. What's functional morpheme? It's the kind of free morpheme. So, what's functional morpheme? Functional morpheme. They mostly perform functions. They mostly perform functions. Example, the, a, and, do, does, shall, will, was, were, etc. It's the kind of free morpheme, but it's this one sort of morpheme is performing functions. For example, if I think about the, and, do, does, shall, will, was, were, etc. These words are always performing functions. The second one category is called bound morpheme. Bound morpheme. Bound morpheme. So, what's bound morpheme? First, we will explain the bound morpheme. Within bound morphemes, there are two types. One is called derivational morpheme, one is called inflectional morpheme. So, first we will explain the bound morpheme. Free morpheme, it can stand in isolation. It means that whenever we are writing or whenever we are studying the free morpheme, so it will be give to us full meaning, so it will be give to us sense. But the bound morpheme, it is not giving to us sense. Bound morpheme, it can't stand in isolation. Free morpheme, it can stand in isolation. So bound morpheme is the opposite of free morpheme. It can't stand in isolation. It cannot stand in isolation. It means that whenever we are studying or writing the bound morpheme, so we will put the bound morpheme as a prefix or suffix with the word. Otherwise, the bound morpheme will be not giving to us the full sense. Further, we divided the bound morpheme in two categories. One is called derivational morpheme, one is called inflectional morpheme. But first, we will explain the derivational morpheme. That what's the derivational morpheme? Derivational morpheme. Derivational morpheme. This is the category of the bound morpheme. Derivational morpheme, it changes the meaning or grammatical category. It changes the meaning or grammatical category. Or grammatical category. It changes the meaning or grammatical category. If I'll give to you the example of the derivational morpheme, ness. It's also changing the meaning and it's also changing the grammatical category. And ness, er, ly, etc. For example, wildness. If I'll study or write the word ness without the another one word, so it will be not given to us full meaning or full sense. So if I'll put with this one word wild, for example, wild. For example, wild. So the word will be wildness. So it will be given to us full meaning. That's why it's called bound morpheme. Er. For example, small, smaller, smallest, comparative degree. It's also given to us. It's also changing the meaning and it's also changing the meaning or grammatical category. Ly. For example, slowly. clearly, fastly, etc. These are the examples of derivational morpheme. So, what's the function of derivational morpheme? The function of the derivational morpheme, it is changes the meaning or grammatical category. This is the main function of the derivational morpheme, that is changes the meaning or grammatical category. So, the last one is called inflectional morpheme. Inflectional morpheme. So the last one is called inflectional morpheme, and it's also the kind of the bound morpheme. Inflectional morpheme. It's changing the tense singular to plural or possession. It is changes the tense singular to plural to plural or possession. It changes the tense singular to plural or possession. For example, if I will give you the example that how can it change the tense. For example, D or ED. D or ED. For example, walk, walk. It's the example of the present indefinite tense. If I'll give to the example, if I'll put the walked, the ed with the walked sound, it will be the example of the past present perfect tense or the past indefinite tense. This is the example of the how can it change the tense. One is called singular to plural. It's also changing singular to plural. For example, s or es. S/es. How can it change singular to plural? For example, car, cars. It changes. This is the how can it change singular to plural? For example, if I'll give to the example of car, cars. The last one is called position. For example, if I'll give to the example that apostrophe. Apostrophe is or apostrophe. For example, Ahmad's book. It means that the book of Ahmad. Sound. It's also changing. Sound. It's also changes the position. There are three main functions of the inflectional morpheme. One is it changes the tense. First, it changes the tense. On the second one, it changes singular to plural, and in the third one, it changes the position. Students take a picture or take a screenshot from it, and after that I'll give to you the example. Within that one example, all the morpheme and the kind of the morpheme will be present. Okay, now I'll give to you one example. Within this one example, all the morphemes will be present. For example, the child's wildness shocked the teacher. The child wildness. Wildness. The child's wildness. It means that the wildness of child shocked the teacher. Shocked the teacher. Shocked the teachers. Okay. The child's wildness shocked the teacher. The its performing function. So it's functional morpheme. In functional morpheme, we are studying that they mostly perform functions. So the its performing function. So it's a functional morpheme. It's a functional morpheme. Child. It is giving to us meaning. It's giving to us meaning. So in lexical morpheme, it is giving to us full meaning. So it's also giving to us full meaning, child. So it's lexical morpheme. Apostrophe S, it's showing to us position. It means that the wildness of the child. So apostrophe S, we are studying in the inflectional morpheme. So the apostrophe S is inflectional morpheme. And this one is lexical morpheme. Wild, it is also giving to us full meaning. So it's also giving to us full meaning. So it's lexical morpheme. Nest, it is not giving to us full meaning. It's a bound morpheme. So in bound morpheme, it's a derivational morpheme because it changes the meaning or grammatical category. If you think about this one word nest with this one word, nest is also changing the meaning or grammatical category. So it's a derivational morpheme. Shock. In this one word, there are two morphemes. First one is called shock. It's lexical morpheme because it's giving to us meaning. And the ed, it's a bound morpheme because it changes the tense. Because it changes the tense, d or ed, it changes the tense sound. It's inflectional morpheme. The again, it's a functional morpheme. Teach. There are three morphemes in this one word. First one is teach, the second one is er, and the last one is s. Teach. It's giving to us full meaning. So it's lexical morpheme. Er. It's a bound morpheme. Er, it's a bound morpheme. And in bound morpheme, it changes the meaning or grammatical category. For example, small, smaller, smallest. It changes the meaning and grammatical category as well. So it's a derivational morpheme. Er is a derivational morpheme. And the last one is S. The child wildness shocked the teachers. Within this one category, inflectional morpheme, it changes the tense and singular to plural. So teacher is singular, and whenever we put the teacher, the s with teachers, so it will be plural. So it's an inflectional morpheme. Okay, students, just for your revision, morpheme. The minimal unit of meaning or grammatical function is called morpheme. In this one definition, we are studying the two aspects. One is called the minimal unit of meaning, and the second one is called the grammatical category. But this is also the feature of the morpheme that it can't be divided further. If I'll give you the example of the ed or ed, ness, or for example right, or for example another one was. So these words are not dividing further, so that's why it's called morpheme. Further, we divided the morpheme into major categories. One is called free morpheme and the second one is called bound morpheme. Further, we divided the free morpheme and the bound morpheme into categories too. One is called lexical morpheme, but the second one is called functional morpheme, bound morpheme, derivational morpheme, and the second one is called inflectional morpheme. So what's free morpheme? It can stand in isolation. It means that whenever we are studying the free morpheme, it is giving to us full meaning. Further, we divided the free morpheme in two categories. One is called lexical morpheme. Lexical morpheme, it is giving to us full meaning. Read, go, write. These words are giving to us full meaning. The second one is called functional morpheme. They mostly perform functions. the, a and d, do, does, shall, will, was, were. These words are mostly performing functions. The second one is called bound morpheme. Bound, further we divided the bound morpheme in two categories. One is called derivational morpheme, but the last one is called inflectional morpheme. First we will explain that the bound morpheme, that what's bound morpheme. It can't stand in isolation. It can't stand in isolation. It means that it's the opposite of the free morpheme. Bound morpheme and free morpheme are the opposite of each other. Derivational morpheme. It changes the meaning or grammatical category. Ness. If I give to you the example of ness, ERLY, etc. These words are changing the meaning, and it's also changing the grammatical category too. The last one is called inflectional morpheme. It changes the tense singular to plural / position. For example, D, ED, ES. These words are changing the tense and the singular to plural too and position too. Okay, now I'll give to you one example, and I have written and explained too. The words, the child's wildness shock the teachers. It's functional morpheme because it's performing function. Child, it's giving to us full meaning, so it's lexical morpheme. Apostrophe s, it's inflectional morpheme. Why it's inflectional morpheme? Because it is providing to us the position. Child's wildness, it means that the wildness of child. Wild. It's lexical morpheme because it's giving to us full meaning. Ness is derivational morpheme because it's changing the meaning and grammatical category too. Shocked, it's giving to us full meaning. So it's lexical morpheme. ED, it's inflectional morpheme. It's inflectional morpheme because it's changing the tense. And again, it's functional morpheme. Teach. In this one word, there are three morphemes. One is called teach, one is called ER, the last one is S. Teach is given to us full meaning. Teach, taught, teaching. It's lexical morpheme. ER, it's derivational morpheme because it's changing the meaning and the grammatical category too. But the last one is a inflectional morpheme because it changes singular to plural. Teacher is a singular, but the teachers is plural, so that's why it's inflectional morpheme. So that's why it's inflectional morpheme. So this was the definition of morpheme and the kinds of morpheme that we have explained. Thanks.